Hey out there, Africa gamers. My name is Leroy Hodgson, and I am here today to give you the latest updates on the upcoming Africa Esports Championship. And to do that, I am joined today by the Tournament Director and Nigeria Esports President, Emmanuel Oyelakin. I hope I've gotten that name correctly, the last name correctly.
Right.
Yeah. So, welcome, Emma, and thanks for joining me.
Pleasure's mine.
All right. So, let's start off by introducing esports. Let's get to know what esports is, because I know there are a lot of people out there who are quite unsure as to what esports is and where it came from. So, Ima, can you take us through that?
Esports is basically video games. It means electronic sports. So the same way you have electronic mail is the same way you have electronic sports, esports. And I need to, at this point, actually give a clear distinction between gaming and esports, because what I think we've been doing for a while in Africa is gaming, but esports, as it were, is totally different. Not entirely different, but of course, there's still a clear distinction between esports and gaming. So esports, the definition of esports is a competition where opponents compete for a prize. Opponents who belong to an esports organization, that is, they are officially registered, they are contracted, and they play for a prize. It could be cash, it could be prizes, it could be products, And so if you look around, what you've been seeing around Africa, is a couple of people coming together to play games. But are they professionals? Maybe not. Do they belong to a particular esports organization? Maybe not. So what we're trying to do in this part of Africa, myself and some of the other leaders of esports in Africa, is to actually entrench that esports culture. We already have video gaming culture that has been in place for years, for decades. I started playing video games myself around 1991 in junior secondary school. So the culture is there. What we're trying to now do now is to upgrade, what we have as video gaming to actually become esports, so that it comes at par with what is obtainable across other parts of the world also.
Yeah, and speaking about gaming on the African continent, for one, I can't speak for Nigeria, but in Ghana, for instance, it seems like there's some sort of stigma when it comes to gaming, where normally people would say that the people who go to, let's say, game centers or are sort of stigmatized as being bad boys, or I've forgotten the name I want to use, but let's just go with that. And they are not thinking about their future, basically. Is that the same thing over at Nigeria?
Well, I can tell you for free that it's not only in Nigeria, it's all over Africa, except a few other countries, but basically that's the narrative, that people who play video games, are jobless people who don't have any plans for their lives, they are not really serious. And it's part of the narrative that we're trying to change. Because what esports is today, so I think what the problem is people are seeing video gaming, they are seeing gaming, they are not seeing esports, because esports is the business side of gaming. Because like I said, you're creating a team, you're officially part of a team, you are playing as a professional, you have a signed contract, you are earning an income, and not just that, you have your esports center, you train, you have your physiotherapist, you have your trainer, you have your dietitian, you have all of those guys, so it's already a business, because there are other people that have been employed. Just like on the football field, you see players playing, but you should know that there's a doctor somewhere taking care of them. There's a dietitian, there are trainers and all of those. So with esports, it's a full-fledged business. You bring other people into the ecosystem, many other people, that are also providing services. There's somebody recording you as you're playing, there's somebody streaming your game, there's a post-video production that is done, so it's a whole gamut of different things that have been brought to play. So that's the business side, of esports. And I think it's about time Africa, also upgraded to that level. And that is what we're trying to do, to entrench esports so that that stigma can be washed away, because then people now begin to see what exactly, it is that esports doors. I like giving this example every time I have the opportunity to speak, about esports in Nigeria and Africa.
Okay.
Nollywood, as we have in Nigeria today, is it's the biggest movie industry in Africa,
Yeah.
And it's the second largest in the world behind Bollywood of India, and even ahead of Hollywood, that is the mother of all of them all, and it's the second largest by volume, by quality. I mean, where we are, but as of today, Nollywood is the second largest employer of labor in Africa, in Nigeria, behind agriculture. Agriculture is a sector that is employs the most people. Nollywood is next. Because aside the actors and actresses that you see, you have people handling wardrobe, people handling makeup, people handling video production, all of those. So you have many people employed.
Yeah.
So with esports also, by the time that industry becomes established in Nigeria, in Africa, you see other people. You don't even have to carry a pad. You don't have to carry a controller. You don't even have to know anything about gaming, but you could be part of that industry. You could be the one designing the jerseys that they'll be wearing. That's that's an economy in itself. You're employing people to help you in your company to provide those jerseys, and all of those. You have graphic designers, video editors, and all of those. So it's a whole gamut. So we see this stigma being lifted by the time all of these things begin to become entrenched. And already in Nigeria, that stigma has already been lifted because we're beginning to see a lot of stakeholders coming to the industry to say, oh, we love this. How can we be a part of it? And these were people that just a few years back will never touch anything about video games, not even with a 10-foot pole. But we're beginning to see them today, begin to see the opportunities that lie in there. We are seeing telcos, financial institutions coming to say, oh, we love this. How can we be a part? So that stigma, trust me, is beginning to go away gradually in Nigeria. And I'm sure it's the same experience around Africa.
All right. So let's come now to the Africa Esports Championships and the change you are trying to bring with this competition. Can you tell us more about the Africa Esports Championship, how it came about, what exactly was the vision behind this competition?
Well, Africa, like we say, is the last frontier for esports in the world. Every other region across the world is developed. You hear things like LATAM, EU, NA, North America, EU, Europe, LATAM, Latin America. We even hear SATAM, South America. You hear Southeast Asia, SEA. And I'm talking about regional esports events that are being put together. You never hear anything about AFR or AF. So there is no competition for Africa per se. And even for global events that have been organized across the world, we find that more often than not, Africa is not even allowed to participate. And we happen to be a continent that is blessed with a multitude in their thousands and millions who play video games, And so there is that gap. These guys are not able to express themselves. They're unable to, compete with the best in the world, colleagues like them, So we thought to create an opportunity for our young people in Africa because we see esports as a tool to address some socio-economic issues that are peculiar, to Africa. So this is in response to the hunger, the aspirations of the gamers in Africa to say, oh, we want events that we too can also participate in. We want events that we can also play, earn money, be able to show something, a reward, for the skills and for all the time that they have invested in playing games over the years. And so that brought about the AEC. There's been this brotherhood of African esports leaders, for about 35 African countries, and before now we have been seeing games, competitions between different countries, Nigeria, Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, Kenya, and the likes. So it was just, it was a no-brainer that eventually a continental event was going to come up. And those were some of the things that led to the AEC being birthed, earlier on in 2019, because it's the second season that we are going into now. And it's going to be an annual event, so after this year, there's going to be another one next year again, just so that we can engage our young people, give them a sense of purpose, help them to be able to achieve their aspirations in the gaming and esports environment in Africa.
Yes, and let's talk about the first season. I believe this is the second edition of the competition. The first season came out I believe 2 years ago, or was it last year?
It was last year.
Was last year, yes. How was that competition, and what did you learn from organizing let's say, the first ever esports championships?
So it was an interesting ride last year, for the AEC season one. We were supposed to hold the event in Kenya, as a the physical event in Kenya 2019. It was quite interesting because we had a lot of countries in Africa sign up to be part of it, and national qualifiers were conducted, bringing together several thousands of gamers from around Africa. Different countries run their qualifiers, and they produced their official representatives, for the event in Kenya. But due to the global COVID-19 pandemic that broke out everywhere in the world, we decided to move it further. And still, as a result of the COVID pandemic, all the games that were planned to be held in offline locations have now been moved online. So all games will be running 100% online. Nobody goes anywhere because of the restrictions on travel from place to place. So this time is holding, but it's going to be 100% online. We hope that next year, when the next edition will come up, we will be able to converge at a physical location.
So let's talk about the upcoming competition. What are we going to expect when organizing this competition? What have you put in place to make sure that these sort of problems you faced previously you will not be facing them this time?
Right. So the format is about the same again, from last year, because we expect that national qualifiers again will be conducted. Remember, there were some games that we have running this time that were not available last year.
Yeah.
And so we would have to run qualifiers for those ones. So like League of Legends and I think just League of Legends, is the new that has been added from last year. So the national qualifiers will still run. We have what we call country operators, that are designated to manage the qualifiers and everything AEC in their countries. So that same we have AEC. Africa, we have AEC Ghana, AEC Nigeria, AEC Kenya, like those, and they have different trusted country operators that are managing those events. So those are structures being put in place. We have rules and regulations that have been shared, with these country operators, so they know what to do. Well, some of them are experienced from last year, and even previously before 2019 also. But of course, these structures are further being strengthened, just to make sure that we're able to run this event successfully this time. And thankfully, maybe not thankfully anyway, COVID is out there.
Yeah.
So we are not having to go to a physical country to conduct the grand finals. Everything as it is being planned is for every activity to be run strictly online. So we do not envisage some of the issues that we encountered the last year, to crop up again this year. Some of the issues we may encounter maybe network and the likes, but of course, like I said previously, we have been running games between different countries, and since we all seem to have the same challenge, it's more like a level playing field, for everybody in Africa. So we expect to have an amazing event this year, 2020.
Speaking about the network, I was actually coming to ask you about the network and all that. But another problem I think might pop up is cheating. How are you going to solve that problem? Is it that you're going to get the entire team into one room and then they will play there in their country, or they'll be in their home where nobody is supervising them and they are participating? So how are you going to be handling cheating, or how is it going to be?
So as part of the mandate of the country operators, they are to ensure that they manage these qualifiers effectively. There are two options that have been looked at. One of the options will be for all the contestants in a particular country to show up in a physical location, but of course, observing the COVID protocols for the different countries, the social distancing and all. So that's one of the plan. Another plan is for every gamer to actually have a camera, so that as you play, you can be seen. And of course, there's verification that's going to be done, because as you register, we want to be able to match your details with the individual that is actually expected to play that game. So the verification will be done so that we're sure that this is the person playing. And so when you're playing also, you're expected to have a camera so that we can see you. Then apart from that also, all games are to be recorded. They'll be recorded. Some will be streamed live, so that our referees can actually have access to those captures and be able to look through to see if there's any sort of cheating that is being done. Because of course, we have experienced some of these things, with some of the funny things that some gamers like to do. But these measures are being put in place just to ensure that we eradicate this scourge of cheating in our midst.
Speaking about COVID, do you think it has been a blessing in disguise for, let's say, something like esports? Has it helped in maybe being like a sport that can still operate in such a period, so sponsors are more interested to get into it?
COVID, I hate to say this in all honesty, but I would say that COVID has been like a blessing to the esports world. And I say this in a very sober way, remembering the many lives that have been lost, and many families that have lost their loved ones, but in the midst of all of the chaos and health issues, opportunities have sprung up in different areas. And esports in Africa has been a beneficiary in that regard. I'll give you an example about what happened in Nigeria. Due to COVID, um, the government in Nigeria officially recognized esports as a national sport, as an official sport, in the country. And that is to ensure that since we can't have physical sports, contact sports, we can play the electronic version of those games, So, we look back, we don't like what COVID has done, but we look to the positive side. It's opened up an opportunity for esports to thrive, not just only in Nigeria, but across Africa also. And we envisage that the current scenario will continue to play out for a while, in that we may not be able to go back to our ways of life, at least for another year or two. And so we see esports activities actually booming in that regard as a replacement for some of the games that we're unable to, take part in physically like before.
Also speaking about sponsorship, how's the sponsorship going? How is it seeking out sponsorship for this competition? How has it been going?
There's been a lot of interest, from different people saying we want to be part of this. How can we, partner and collaborate with you guys? I would have mentioned some names now, but I guess now it's not the time. But we have been speaking with a couple of brands, and the response has been massive. It's been immense, So we envisage that we're going to be having quite a few sponsors, for this event. The prize money is good. Same way, we'll be having products also, as giveaways for participants in this event. So sponsorship, I would say, it's going on pretty well. We've tied some up. We haven't tied some, and they are still in the process of being tied up. Right. But it's not a problem for us at this point in time.
All right. So let's get into the qualification and how players can get involved. Can you take us through what exactly you're supposed to do to register? Do you need to be part of, let's say, part of the federation, or you can just start up with just somebody like me who is maybe not registered? Can I just go in and register for the competition? What exactly is the process?
So it's pretty easy. To register, you just simply have to go to the website, AEC.Africa, and you would indicate what game you want to register for. PUBG Mobile, League of Legends, FIFA, Street Fighter. So upon doing that, you're going to...
What about if you want to play multiple? Is it allowed to play multiple?
It is not.
Okay.
It is not, because there will be clashes at some point, because there will be times that some games will be running simultaneously, and it won't be convenient to take part in both of them. And then again, one of the requirements or one of the conditions, that every participant will agree to is for them to be available to play their games. So it's not just enough to register, and then when it's time for you to play, you're not available. It's one of the conditions. You must be available to play. So that automatically rules out any player wanting to play more than one game. Because if you're playing FIFA, for instance, and PUBG is holding at the same time, it means that you won't be available for one of the games, and that is against the rule of the competition. So you have to be there. Yeah.
Right. So I forgot to ask this before the qualification, but how are the games selected for this competition? I know we are playing FIFA, Street Fighter, League of Legends, which I'm a huge fan of, and if I'm not mistaken, which is the fourth? The fourth game is
PUBG.
PUBG, yes. So how are these games selected for this competition?
Okay, before I go into that, I was going to say something about the registration we're talking about.
Yes.
When you register and you indicate the game you want to play, your data goes to the country operator. So the country operator has the mandate to verify your information to be sure that it's authentic. And one of the conditions for taking part in the event is you have to be an African and you have to be resident in Africa. You could be a Ghanaian in Nigeria, a Nigerian in Burkina Faso, it doesn't matter, but you have to be resident in Africa. So the country operator will check to be sure that that is in place. So after that, successful applications will be responded to, to let them know that they have officially been received or accepted into the competition. And then the qualifiers will commence. The qualifiers are going to be run for different countries. So Ghana will run its own qualifiers, Nigeria will run, Kenya, Ghana, like that. So the winners from those qualifiers will now proceed to the grand finals, of the AEC. So that's how that process is. Talking about how the games were selected, there are a million and one games, and there are also several platforms where these games can be played. There are some games that will be played on console, some on PC, some on mobile. Now some are even played on the cloud. So we thought to, as much as possible, accommodate as many gamers as possible, regardless of what platform they're playing on. So we considered the platforms, and we brought on board the three most popular platforms: mobile, console, and PC. So for console, we have two games. We have FIFA and Street Fighter. For mobile, we have PUBG Mobile. And for PC, we have League of Legends. So doing that, we have been able to capture at least a good majority, of the different gaming communities in Africa. And if you check the spread of the games themselves, they are coming from different genres. No two games are from the same genre. You have the shooting, first-person shooter games, PUBG Mobile, you have the sports, FIFA, you have the one for the fighting game community, Street Fighter, and lastly, you have League of Legends, Battle Royale, so that strategy, so that all of these guys can have a piece, of the action. You may want to ask what happens to the other genres of the games. Well, we can only take so much, so that's just the best we can do at this time, considering our current realities.
Speaking about console, FIFA can be played on both PlayStation and Xbox. So are we going to have a scenario like the FIFA World Cup where they both played on PlayStation and Xbox at the end? Whoever won the battle, basically, of the two consoles moves away to the next round, or we are just going to focus on one console?
Well, FIFA can even be played on PC, just so you know.
Yes.
But for this competition, we are not playing home and away, PlayStation and Xbox. It is strictly on PlayStation 4.
Okay.
So Street Fighter and FIFA will be on PlayStation 4, League of Legends on PC, Windows 10, and PUBG Mobile on mobile. For PUBG, we'll be specifying the kind of devices to use, to take part in the events. And this is just to uphold the quality, of gameplay. If you use a device that is not that does not have the right specs, it may affect the quality of the game. And at the same time, also, there are some devices that will not be permitted. For instance, you cannot play on a tablet. You can't use an iPad, to play the games. You cannot use accessories, triggers, and all of those things that give undue advantage. So these are some of the things that we'll be checking to be sure that the rules and regulations are being strictly adhered to by everyone taking part in the competition.
So I know that yesterday was the start of the registration process, and it's going to be ending in October, 26th October.
Yeah, correct.
How many, let's say, players are you expecting to get, or do you have an estimate as to how many gamers you're expecting to see at this competition?
If I am being conservative, I would say we're expecting between 7,000 and 10,000 players. There was an event I held earlier on in the year, La Coupe d'Africana, that had over 900 teams and over 5,000 gamers, and that's just for one game. But this time around, we're talking about so many other games. I remember that one of the games, League of Legends, is not an individual game. Yeah, it's a 5v5, not a 1v1. So for as many teams who register, you're talking about times 5, of the teams that register. So we envisage between 7,000 and 10,000 players taking part in this event from around Africa. Yeah.
Okay, so is there anything else, any news that we are supposed to know about the upcoming competition?
Well, for now, all the information that are needed have been put out there. But of course, we have media channels, to update people as new developments take place. On social media, we have our handle as Esports Africa. Africa is AFREECA, not AFRICA, double E, Esports Africa on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and we also have our YouTube page and Twitch channels also. And so all of these outlets will be used to push information out to as many people who would be seeking information. We also have our website where we have the FAQ that inquiries can be, sought from. Go there, check for what question you want to ask, and then you have the answers provided. Then aside that also, you can also reach out to myself as a tournament director. We also have Thomas Fury from Zimbabwe, who is the technical director, and also Bukola Akingbade from Nigeria, who is the marketing director, for the event. So there are different outlets, different channels. Choose whichever one you want to use, and you will get your response promptly.
All right. Thank you very much for spending this time with me, Ima. Thank you very much for explaining everything, taking us through what esports is, the tournament, how to get into it, and the games and everything. And I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Just online.
Returning to Africa for a second season, Africa Esports Championship, Africa's premier esports league. The AEC 2020 semi-finals kicks off November 2nd, featuring FIFA, PUBG, Street Fighter, and League of Legends. With over 20 African countries battling it out for the chance to compete at the Africa Grand Finals and the chance to win cash prizes at the Grand Finals in December. Find out who will win the Africa Esports Championship 2020